Why you should be excited for Arcane Odyssey. Now, Arcane Odyssey is a Roblox game that's actually going to be releasing very soon. The creator of the game, named Vtex, actually said that he wants to pinpoint it for releasing this month as an early access game. A brief background on Vtex, he's been working and making multiple Roblox games for years. I think even when I was a kid, I used to play some of his games, which is kind of crazy now because I'm a YouTuber making videos on it. However, Vtex is a developer who's been around for a while. He's made games such as World of Magic, I think One Piece Golden Age, and other stuff like that. But his current project that he's working on is actually going to be Arcane Odyssey. And a brief overview on what Arcane Odyssey actually is that Arcane Odyssey is a story-focused game with open-world MMORPG features. Just in case you don't know what that is, it's kind of something like Breath of the Wild for Zelda. It's an open world where you have options to do whatever you want, is essentially what this game is going to be. There's also a story, and since it's the Arcane Odyssey, like the main PvP or fighting style or concept of the game is actually going to be revolved around magics, fighting styles, and pretty much, yeah, magic and fighting styles. There's also much more things inside this game that I'm going to be touching on later, but for now, what I'm going to discuss about this game is giving you the reason as to why you should be excited for it releasing. So some of the main things of this game that I feel like would make people excited for it would be the fact that the game has magic, sea combat, and exploration with mystery. This to me is going to be probably the main things to make people want to actually play the game versus what you're used to. It'll probably just be like player versus player combat. So to touch on the topic of interesting things for you to look forward to inside this game, I would definitely say that overall the exploration is going to be probably the main takeaway of this game and the thing you should be looking forward to the most. Now this game, it does follow a story, however it's not set in like a Pokemon game where you have to follow the story strictly and that's essentially all you're going to be doing. This game, you can follow the story, but there's so much other things for you to do. It's like following the story is going to be good and you're going to eventually have to do it, but you can also get sidetracked in different quests and just exploring the world itself, which is a really cool feature. A game that I would probably compare this to is kind of like Terraria. I'm not sure if it takes aspects from Terraria, but in Terraria, essentially you're just put inside the world and there is kind of like a set story because we have to beat certain bosses to unlock more parts of the world, but there's also so much other things that you can do to just make yourself as a player stronger or to just enhance those around you. And Arcane Odyssey, it's kind of going to be following that. In Arcane Odyssey, it does have some aspects of that inside the game as well, which is what I'm really looking forward to. I know that PvP is definitely not going to be like the biggest aspect of this game, so I'm not going to just strictly judge this game based off PvP like I do with some of the other games that I usually play. But I am looking forward to the world exploration inside this game. There's so much, and I don't want this video to be too long, but I'll briefly cover it. So they have like different sea mobs. For example, they have a white eye behemoth tier sea monster, and essentially it's like a really large shark that's affected by magic pollution. They have multiple different types of stuff. They have castaways, where it's like a feature where there's somebody stranded at sea and you can choose if you want to save them or plunder them, and plundering being taking all their loot and stuff that they have. They have rough seas, large waves, treasure maps, enchantments, ghost ships, sensing. There's so much stuff. There's even cargo trading too. So if you just want to live that little peaceful life and you can just trade your cargo and go fish, you can do that. You can literally do that inside this game. And all of this ties into like exploration, because once you're out at sea, it's not like you're just going to be going in your boat from point A to point B. You can do that, but the fact that there's options and so much other things around you for you to also do as well, it just adds into like the overall experience that I do feel like this game is going to present to you in a really good way. Another important factor of this game, and my personal favorite thing about it so far, is that there's going to be magic interaction inside the game. Now, currently for release, there's a lot of magics coming out. I'm just going to take a guess. I'm saying like 18 or something. If you look on the Trello, you can actually see all of them, but each magic has an interaction with another one. So a brief example of this is, let's say that you use fire magic, right? If you use fire magic and you're interacting with acid magic, you will deal 25% more damage to the target if they're corroding. And if you're using fire magic and you're interacting with water, water puddles would just be evaporated on contact, and then after that it would also remove the soak status effect and deal 10% less damage. So interactions, I can't explain all of them because there was interactions for literally every single magic, which is just very cool to me. So it's like, depending on the magic that you use, you will actually have a natural enemy versus that. And depending on the magic that you use, if you or some of your friends use the same, like a good combination, for example, water and electricity, that's very deadly, because if you shock water with electricity, it makes big explosion. Well, not explosion, it just shocks everything around it. But you get what I'm trying to say. There's magic interactions. This is my personal favorite part of the game, because it really does seem like Vtex put his time into this, and it's like, to have an interaction for each and every magic is just very cool to me, and it's not something that I usually see for games. There's also so much more things like fighting styles, magic types, build types being like, you're gonna have way different build types, because it's like, you could go strength and vitality, or you could go strength and magic. I'm not sure if I'm saying this exactly the way it is. You can actually just look on the Trello. I do recommend that you come here and look for yourself if you want the most or best information on this game, because I'm just briefly covering it. But there's a lot of information about this game, and when you like just read it all and you consume it all in, pause, it's just really cool to see how this game is going to turn out. Now, I do want to say, even though I'm hyping it up, I mean, like, the game is not releasing at its full release because there's still some stuff that aren't done. So Vtex, I'm pretty sure Vtex stated exactly that the game is done up to like the end of the first sea, and the Dark Continent, or the Dark Sea, is currently still being made, and due to like some constraints with money and time and stuff, he's actually just going to release the game in early access for free, by the way, just so we can have kind of like an experience of it, and he can see how the game is gonna run, I think. There's also going to be other features where you could like take over islands. This one is definitely not coming out on release because Vtex actually stated it himself. But what this feature is basically just going to consist of, it's like, if you and your crew, or I guess group, have a certain island for over amount of time, you get like infamy. And I don't know what infamy actually does. I'm trying to read it here and I can't exactly see it, but I'm just gonna assume that it just gives you some type of status, and that would give other players like the incentive to come and raid you, because they'll get loot or something from you, which would benefit them because it's making their characters better. And it's like, it's just giving more of a reason to some islands, instead of just having it as a place where it's like, you grind there once and then you just wouldn't come back to it again. I do really think this is like a really good feature, and I'm excited to see how it plays out once it's actually implemented inside the game. But overall, I actually am just excited for this, and I do recommend that you like watch some other videos. There's a lot of videos on YouTube of like people showcasing some of the combat and stuff like that. I'm sure I've had it playing up in the background, but I do recommend that you watch videos and get educated on the game yourself outside of just what I'm telling you, because the game is releasing this month, and it's the 16th at the time of me recording this, so we literally only have 12 more days in this month. My personal guess is that it's gonna come out on the 24th to 25th, but that's just my personal guess. If I'm wrong, that'll be better, because if we want from that though, one thing that I do want to say, I feel like would be kind of a quote-unquote issue for people, would just be the combat. Now, there's been a lot of, I just say, negativity towards it, and I guess I can understand it, because it does kind of look like you're just jumping using skills and stuff like that, but let it cook. And by that, I'm essentially just saying you should try it before you bash it. Now, it does, like, combat is not going to be the main takeaway of this game. I personally look at this game as like an experience that it has combat for you to do just in case you need to do it, and in case you want to do it, you can play combat, but that shouldn't be like the main focus. It's more like an action MMORPG game where you're exploring. Try to think of it in the same sense of Breath of the Wild and Terraria. The point of the game is for you to explore stuff, find stuff out, and just make yourself better. The end goal of this game isn't so that you can have a max build and do PvP. It's so that, I mean, I guess you just have a fun experience. So yeah, combat, it'll be fun, but that's its own separate thing versus what you should really be focusing on for this game, which is the experience that you're going to get playing. However, that's actually all I have to say for this video. The game is probably coming out, well, I'm not even gonna touch that, but let me know what you actually think about this game and if you're excited for it. Me personally, I've played World of Magic for like what, I touched it and then never touched it again. So I didn't even really play World of Magic. So this is all new to me, and I'm actually excited to see it. I'll be streaming the game when it drops, so if you want to see that, feel free to subscribe, and you can see that because you subscribe. And if you like the video, then you can also like the video because you liked it. But outside of that, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed. And Arcane Odyssey. Yay. Yay.